All right, so skepticism. So skepticism is having an attitude of doubt. This is one of the key attitudes that a scientist must have. The reason is because if we ever forget to have skepticism, if we ever forget to doubt things are true, then we start missing very important things. My go-to example is once upon a time, the world used to believe that everything was made up of just 4 elements. Wind, water, earth, and fire, right? And so they thought everything, the table, the floors, the walls, like everything was made up of just those 4 elements. Because scientists have an attitude of skepticism, they continue to research that idea, however, and now we have these many elements that make up the earth. And it was a process. From just those 4 elements, we had a person who discovered quite a few elements to start, about 13 of them, maybe more, like 20-some. Something like that is what elements we started with. Once they started figuring out elements, and then once they started figuring out that, they kept looking, they kept searching, finding more and more and more, until even just recently, they have still been adding new elements. And we expect to continue to find new elements in the future. So, if we didn't have that skepticism, though, that attitude of doubt, then over time we would be still stuck with the idea that all elements or all things are made out of fire, earth, wind, and water. It would severely limit the knowledge that we've been able to get. So we talked about observation. There's 2 types of observations that you can make. There's a qualitative observation, which is basically describing something without numbers. That's just what they were. I didn't make them that way. So a qualitative observation might be something like, this is purple. The table is hard. You can knock on it and make a sound. Montserrat's bag has a zipper on it. You can see through this sanitizer. Things like that. Those are qualitative observations. The other type of observation is a quantitative observation. A quantitative observation only deals with numbers. Like, I have 4 pencils, 2 spray bottles. The tables have 4 legs. Things like that. Most notebooks have like 80 sheets of paper in them. To remember the difference between the 2, just remember quantitative, quantity. Quantity is how many you have. And then qualitative is the other one, which is describing. Okay? Okay. And so science, a way of learning about the natural world, basically, to perform science, you need to be finding out how things work or why they work. So how or why things work. Usually things like figuring out how you make them is less science, more engineer. Finding out about the history of something, more history than science. So science, we're usually finding out how something works or why something works.